Hola mi gente, welcome back to my channel. I am XOJo. I was challenged to do the cozy Christmas book tag. I'm gonna recommend 12 books based off of the 12 prompts. I was tagged by the wonderful Bookspin. He gives a lot of recommendations and mainly focuses on sci-fi literature. Check them out. So thanks for the tag, Bookspin. I can't wait to give my recs. We have a ton to get through, so I'm just gonna get my Dutch Bros drink on. Hopefully it gives me the energy I need to talk to you about all of these books. So with this tag, I did my best to pick books I haven't talked about before and that are standalone or the start of a series. That way you can truly try it and you don't have to be 3 books in to read a book that actually fits the prompt. Each book I'm recommending is tagged to a Christmas movie and a little prompt. The first one is The Santa Claus. Recommend a book about a family. I've been waiting to recommend this book. I don't have a hard copy anymore because I kept gifting this book to people because I really wanted them to read it. It's called The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. This book is absolutely gorgeous. It's told through magic realism and focuses on a girl who was born with wings. Because this is so strange, she is forced to hide them. She can't really go out into the world and her family really shelters her. She does have a best friend who knows about her wings. Something absolutely tragic happens to her, but you don't really find out what that is until the very end of the book. Instead, the author takes you on a generational family trauma journey, and it's so beautiful, it's so loving, it's so sad. It made me cry. I do recommend you check trigger warnings for this book. Going in, I had no idea what it was actually about, and there is one very graphic scene in this book nearing the end of the book. Normally, I stay clear of graphic scenes like this, but honestly, this was such a beautiful story. I chatted with the author later via email. Back when that was more popular and authors were not on Instagram yet, we had a discussion about the theme of her book, and that ending that just left me so baffled and questioning all the symbolism. I absolutely love it. I feel like it's so under the radar and deserves way more praise. Again, talks about family trauma, family love, and family healing. The second book, The Grinch. Recommend a book about the redemption of an unlikable character. So I just picked this up in my book haul, but I sped through it. It was so good. And it's actually the memoir Trejo. Now, you probably know Trejo because he's been in a lot of movies, including one of my favorite childhood movies, Spy Kids, as the Uncle Machete. What I didn't know was his whole history with jail, addiction, and crime. I also had no idea he had other jobs before becoming an actor that made a huge impact in LA. In fact, his impact was so great, they actually named a whole day after him. Let's be real, we love Danny Trejo. It's not that he's an unlikable character, but he did some really terrible things in real life before he became an actor, before he became sober. And so that's why I decided to pick this, because at the very beginning of his memoir, he states that he had no idea he would become a counselor, an actor, an advocate, a motivational speaker, because that was not the destiny of his life. He was destined to either die on the streets or die in jail. Of course, with the title itself, you know there are a ton of trigger warnings in here. Although he doesn't go into extreme detail with the crimes he commits here, he lets you know what happens. He doesn't describe the image of all those crimes. It's not a difficult book to get through, but it's so informative, and it's especially amazing because this is his real life story. To give you a small glimpse of his life, he did start abusing heroin at age 12 and then was in and out of the prison system since his high school years. The third book, The Polar Express. Recommend a book about travel. This one I checked out in my library, so I don't have a hard copy yet. It's on my wish list, so maybe it'll be gifted, but it's called Only a Monster. This was a solid 3 stars for me, and usually 3 stars I still recommend, but maybe they just didn't blow my mind completely. Only a Monster has an MC who is biracial. She is half English, half Chinese. Not only that, but she is half human, half monster. Already we have these themes where she's split between two worlds. The monster world is very prejudiced against humans and she is half human, and now and then in the English world she runs into issues because she's Chinese. She is absolutely in love with a guy named Nick in this book and later finds out that he's a monster hunter. In a tragic night, her whole family is killed, and that quickly pushes her to use her monster abilities, which is to travel through time. So this book isn't just about traveling to places, it's about traveling through time. She's doing everything possible to reverse what happened to her family and somehow save them. There's a lot of tension because the only way she can actually travel through time is by taking life away from humans. So that's what makes her a monster. Book 4, Home Alone. Recommend a book where the character has to face challenges on their own. Lobizona. Lobizona focuses on Manu and her mom, who are undocumented immigrants from Argentina living in Miami. Already Manu is afraid of deportation, of authority. She wants to make sure she doesn't attract any attention to her or her family because she knows the potential consequences. Unfortunately, her eyes are also so unique and different, and they have all these different features that are really hard to miss. Because of that, her mom actually isolates her at home. She is homeschooled, she has no friends, no experiences. It's just a really sad way to live. The themes of immigration, fear, strength, courage are really beautiful in this book. And the added element of an unseen world and a magical school is also added in this book. One day, Manu's mom is deported, so Manu ends up being completely alone. What's worse is that she starts finding out secrets her mom was keeping from her, and this throws her into a world she did not know existed. Although later on she does meet people who look like her, it's a very secretive and exclusive world, and she wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. She can't tell anyone what happened to her mom. She doesn't have proper documentation to be even in their world. So again, she's an outcast, she's alone, she has to keep all these secrets, and she has to figure out a way to find out who she is and also rescue her mom. So it really is a lonely journey, but I have to say the twists and turns, the themes of sexism, immigration, belonging, it's so beautiful. I highly recommend it. Little disclaimer, at least for me, the first part of the book felt a little slow and didn't fully grasp me. It did take about 30 to 40% of the way for me to be completely enwrapped in the story, but it was so worth it. Book 5, The Hallmark Christmas Movie. Recommend a book that you find cozy. Okay, this was super difficult because I don't really read wholesome, cute stories. So for this tag, I'm actually gonna recommend a poetry book. There's something about poetry that just makes me feel seen. I just find poetry so comforting. The book I'm recommending is She Just Wants to Forget by R.H. Sin. This author is very popular on Instagram and is all about empowering women. If you are a person who's looking for healing, empowerment, maybe going through a breakup or heartbreak, or maybe you lost yourself along the way, whether that's for a friendship, for a family member, or for a romantic relationship, I really recommend this book. It was a really beautiful read. Every single poem didn't apply, but that's what I love about this collection of poems. There is something for everyone, for every single type of heartbreak. Number 6, A Christmas Story. The original creator of this tag says that he does not enjoy a Christmas story. He tried a few times, just couldn't get into it. So he asked us, what's a book that you DNF'd and then tried again? Did you like it the second time around or did you still DNF? The only book I could think of that I DNF'd and then tried again was Legendary. This is the second book to Caraval. And while I loved Caraval, I had such a hard time with the second and third. I stopped, I tried again. I stopped, I tried again. This year I tried again and I still didn't feel like I connected to the story. I still felt like it dragged. I gave it a few shots. It wasn't for me. This is my Christmas story. Book 7, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I recommend a book that always makes you laugh. I freaking love the next book I'm gonna recommend. That book is The Sunbearer Trials. Sunbearer Trials is an absolute masterpiece and it officially placed Aiden Thomas in my top 3 favorite authors. The Sunbearer Trials is a mix of Percy Jackson and the Hunger Games, but make it Mexican. The Sunbearer Trials is a tournament that happens every 10 years. Semi-gods or semi-dioses are picked to be a part of this tournament. The usually the people picked are golds. So they are children of the strongest gods in this book. Then we have the jades. Jade gods are not considered as strong, glorious, victorious. You have these two main categories, and then you have the evil gods of obsidian who are locked away and kept away by the sunstone. This year, something went terribly wrong. Two jade semi-gods were picked to compete and not expected to come out alive. The loser of these trials ends up sacrificing their life to replenish the sunstone that keeps the obsidian gods away. Trejo, who is our main character, is a jade semi-god and the son of Quetzal, the goddess of birds. Trejo is doing everything possible to stay alive and to keep his cousin alive. He's not completely alone because he has his best friend Naya, who is a gold semi-god and the daughter of war. Now, this book was absolutely spectacular. It's completely based off Mexican lore, and I actually translated the names for you. In here, their names are all in Spanish. For example, the god of bad luck is Dios Mala Suerte. There's so much I can say about this book, so I can't wait to dive into it deeper in another video. But this book had me laughing the whole way through because Naya is absolutely amazing. I freaking love her. Her lines are hilarious. I had a blast in this book, and I actually reread it, and then I reread some scenes because I absolutely love this book, and I know it will always make me laugh every single time. Book 8, A Miracle on 34th Street. The original tagger said because he enjoyed the remake of this classic, he's asking us to recommend a book that is a retelling of a classic or a book about faith in something. I decided to go with having faith in something and picked All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. Now listen, this book has some controversy around it because Maggie Stiefvater is a white author and her characters in this entire setting is Mexican. You're gonna find different perspectives out there because all Latin people come from different parts of the world with a different experience, of course. So I can't speak on behalf of all Latin people. For me personally, I loved it. I had no issue with her writing Latin characters, and I was personally so happy to hear that she loved Mexican storytelling so much while she was touring and decided to write something herself. All the Crooked Saints focuses on a place called El Bicho Raro. Bicho Raro is a place where people who need miracles goes to visit a saint and get a miracle. However, these miracles don't always happen the way you might think. So it's not a miracle of healing or a miracle of winning the lottery. It's a miracle that releases you from your darkness. The saint in Bicho Raro during this book is Daniel. And when people come to visit, they're called pilgrims because they are on a journey of removing their darkness. He performs the miracle, their darkness manifests in a way that's visible. They have to figure out how to get rid of that darkness so they can return back home as a normal person. Unfortunately, a lot of pilgrims are still stuck with their miracle. So you have pilgrims that have a wolf head and a man body. There's a pilgrim who ended up 7 feet tall. There's another pilgrim who always has rain falling down on her and she's covered with butterflies. So you have all these strange characters and pilgrims here. Once the miracle is performed, saints are not allowed to speak to them because speaking to a pilgrim who has not worked through their darkness can unleash a saint's darkness, and a saint's darkness is the worst darkness you can unleash. This story is told using magic realism, and the way Maggie describes so much in this book is absolutely beautiful. It was a solid 3 stars for me because there was just something missing in this book to give it that extra oomph. But I will say that her writing was absolutely stunning. I really love the themes of believing you can overcome your darkness, having faith in people around you who care about you. It definitely makes you question how much of yourself should you give away when a person just isn't ready to move forward. Book 9, It's a Wonderful Life. Recommend a book that you have reread, especially if you have reread it twice. Again, I don't own this copy because I kept gifting this copy to people. I actually adore The Alchemist. I first read this in middle school, then again in high school, and then a couple times in my early college years. The Alchemist focuses on Santiago, a shepherd boy who one night has a dream telling him to go to the pyramids because there's treasure waiting for him buried there. Along the way, as he's making this pilgrimage, he is faced with decisions. Should I follow the destiny placed in my heart that's shouting passionately, or should I settle, be financially stable, marry the girl I love, and start my business? I think as we get older, we face these same obstacles that Santiago faces. Should I follow the great adventure life has for me, me, or should I be responsible and do what society tells me to do? This book is really a life journey, and every single time I've read it, I pick up something new and a lesson I can apply to my current life season. Book 10, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Recommend a scary book. Okay, I just finished reading this book. It's YA horror. I found it for $8 at a used bookstore. I've seen it before, didn't really know what it was about, but I said $8, I'm gonna pick it up. It has a beautiful cover, and it was so freaking creepy. That book is Horrid. Horrid is described as Gilmore Girls, but make it horror. It focuses on Jane and Ruth, a daughter and a mother, who are forced to return back to Maine. Ruth, who's Jane's mom, grew up in Maine and swore she would never return to her childhood home. But when they lose Jane's father to a terrible heart attack, they find out that they're broke and they can no longer sustain a good life in LA. Jane does notice that her mom is hiding a lot of secrets about her hometown, about her childhood, and as soon as they move in, she starts to experience some very creepy things at this house. What's tricky about this book is that you don't know if Jane is imagining things because of her grief or if these are paranormal experiences. It was so refreshing to see a mom actually believe her kid. Anytime Jane had a really bad experience, thought there was someone at the house, screamed for help, her mom believed her. They are very close, even if her mom is keeping secrets and Jane is trying to keep it together. The ending just blew my mind. I was so creeped out. I was like, wait, what just happened? Some scenes definitely gave me chills because this was just a very creepy book. Book 11, Elf. Recommend a holiday book. It can be any holiday. It doesn't have to be Christmas. Well, the book I'm gonna recommend is a Christmas book. It's my favorite Christmas book up to date. Another one I don't have physically with me because I did gift my 2 copies away. It's called Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. It is such a funny book. It has 2 point of views, Lily and Dash. Lily absolutely loves Christmas, but that year she's very low because her whole family decided to take vacation time, and so they're all separated for the holiday season. Her brother is also in town, but he's more preoccupied with his boyfriend, and so she feels really bummed out. Her brother comes up with a plan and creates a book of dares that he sets up in her favorite bookstore. They know her really well. So in this book of dares, one person completes Lily's dare and leaves it somewhere for Lily to find. Lily then has to complete the next dare, put the book there so that the other person can complete her next dare. Of course, Dash is the person to find this book, and he's the complete opposite of Lily. He likes being alone, he hates Christmas, he's not in the holiday spirit. They never meet face to face. It's the #1 rule. They have to complete these dares before they officially meet. Last book, number 12, A Christmas Carol. Recommend your favorite classic book, The Godfather. Not only do I absolutely love the movies, and the theme song was the very first song I learned to play on the piano. I'm obsessed, but the books are incredible. It talks about greed, family loyalty, crime. It's a very dark book because it focuses on the mafia, and you definitely get way more out of it than the movies. There's a reason these movies are 2.5 to 3 hours long, and you still don't get the full picture. That was my cozy Christmas book tag. I'm gonna tag 2 other booktubers, Life with Shan and Alexis Reads. I can't wait to see what y'all make. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.